Everyone, can you hear me? Oh, I can hear me. We're going to make a start because it's a few minutes past 9 and we do have some online participants as well who'll be joining us throughout the session. We do have some competing sessions that are really good that I even wanted to go to, so I'm hoping to catch up on those recordings a little bit later on. So welcome to our session. This is the first Research Data Alliance session with APAN, and we're really thrilled to be joining you. Unfortunately, our Secretary General, Hilary Hanaho, is in Europe, so with the time difference, just couldn't make it live today. So this is the agenda. Let me just see if I can scroll through. I'm Trish Radetich from the Australian Research Data Commons. I am with the engagements team working as the Research Data Alliance community manager for the region, Oceania and East Asia. So I sit within ARDC but really work with the RDA team across the world, and within ARDC sit within engagements. So today we're going to be covering an overview of who the RDA is, because for a lot of NRENs in this community, it's probably quite a new organisation, might not have heard of the RDA. And I wanted to go through the crucial role that NRENs can play in open science and data management. And then we've got some great speakers joining us today, some presentations that are recorded because of the time difference, as well as live presentations. And then hopefully lots of time for discussion and questions. So a little bit about the RDA. Our Research Data Alliance was established about 11 years ago with talks from the Australian government, the European Commission and the US scientific institutes coming together and really trying to work out how we're going to solve the UN SDG goals in time. And, you know, what they came up with was this idea that we really needed to share research data, reuse research data, and have representation from around the world, not just Europe and US. And so they created the RDA to help the community solve these local data challenges. So bringing a global community to help solve local challenges. So the mission is to build those social and technical bridges that enable open sharing and reuse of data as an asset. And the vision is that researchers and innovators openly share and reuse data across technologies, disciplines and countries. So it's very much agnostic, open, and we're guided by these 6 principles that ensure that our outputs and the way we work is very open and inclusive and very supportive. So the RDA family is open to all. We are comprised of about 14,000 members, individual members throughout the globe, organisations as well, organisations support us financially. After the 10 years of funding, initial funding from those governments, the organisational members now fund RDA. And we also have nations and regions who are part of the RDA community. The heart of the RDA really is our community. Similar to APAN, we come together twice a year in our plenary meetings, and this is where our people really find their people because they're finding people who around the globe have similar challenges to what they're facing. And so it's lovely to come together physically and virtually at least twice a year for these big plenary meetings that we have. So who makes up our community? It's largely 70% academia and researchers. So this is also including the support services, data management and that kind of thing. But we also have about 15% government public service, which could include the NRENs. We have small and to large enterprises, industry enterprises, as well as publishers and funding agencies, press and media to a smaller extent. And our members are based really in Europe and US, with representation in Australia, a little bit in New Zealand, Brazil, Canada, and then the rest of the world. So our remit is to try to elevate membership across the world, and particularly in the APAC region. You can see Asia has very low participation, and it's not until we get access to that data and include those communities in the conversation that can really solve some of the big challenges. So how do we work? Probably similar to APAN. We work with interest groups, working groups, and communities of practice. So the interest groups are large, broad, kind of domain themes. And when an output is thought about, conceived, or a challenge that needs to be solved that will create a physical or intangible output, a working group is created. And these are groups that have a lifespan of 12 to 24 months to complete an output and have it adopted. So they're very specific initiatives that could be creating a framework or a standard or a policy, something very specific. And the communities of practice exist. At the moment, we have an ag data community of practice. Essentially, the RDA exists where no other kind of bodies can do that work. So with ag data, there wasn't a global community of practice, there were regional, national ones. And so they came together and said, through the RDA, can we create a community of practice that's a global COP? So the RDA's contribution is really across domains. You know, they've got guidelines, frameworks, papers that they've published across a variety of themes. And the outputs, I'd encourage you to check out the website for the list of outputs, over 100 of them across the years. Core Trust Seal is an example of 2 standards bodies that came together to formulate one that the world could take on, Core Trust Seal. And the care principles came about through an RDA plenary in Botswana. You can check out the outputs on the website. Just a little bit about our plenaries. Our plenary meetings, it's a conference, but it's a working conference. We have 90-minute sessions where the groups will present their output and progress their work. So they'll have a working meeting online and virtually, and really come together twice a year at least to showcase their work and also find out, you know, other initiatives that can possibly progress their work. So what roles do NRENs play in data management and open science? I wanted to give a description or definition of open science is a set of principles and practices that aim to make scientific research from all fields accessible to everyone for the benefit of scientists and society as a whole. Open science is about making sure not only that scientific knowledge is accessible, but also that the production of that knowledge itself is inclusive, equitable, and sustainable. So keep that in mind, why NRENs are crucial in this research data management landscape, therefore. So researchers are based in institutions, universities and other institutions who have to provide storage, collaboration services, publishing services and sharing data services. And these come from within the institution or outside providers such as NRENs. NRENs provide the main e-infrastructure for these services, which include network connection, internet services, trust and identity services. They can help broker contracts, vertical integration type work, and universities and research institutions are members already of NRENs. So NRENs can help provide national advocacy and coordination. So what are the opportunities? Well, the challenges are that institutional services are often not systematically implemented with the view of research and data exchange, data interoperability and service interoperability. So there's often duplication of data, duplication of effort, poor join up often data and systems. And there needs to be a coordinated system and service within the institutions and between the institutions, as well as regions. So the opportunity there is for NRENs to support this data management lifecycle by providing services that support that. Why NRENs? Well, you've already got a broad reach. You're already tapping into the research institutions and educational institutions. The same audience exists for NRENs as it does for open science and data management initiatives. And you've got specialised expertise, quite often with the technical expertise already in place, data management skills and staff. It's cost effective. You've got a proven model providing value and a robust business model as well, reliable service delivery, and you've got the network and supply chain contractors already on tap and the processes to allow contract negotiations. You've got the community also already in place. So what roles can NRENs play to support data management and open science? You could be collating requirements across universities and institutions, coordinating the sector to help act nationally, provide the service at a national level, but also facilitate uptake of services outside of your main core services, advocate for educational terms and conditions and interoperability, and national coordination and advocacy. Collaboration at a regional level and also at a global level, which you'll see in some of the NREN associations. So NRENs can support data management lifecycle across each of these stages. And we have some NREN cases in data management and open science. The participation in this field is varied depending on the NREN, and I'd reached out to over 60 of them to try to do a survey of what kind of data services and what kind of open science initiatives were in place. And it is so varied, and I think, you know, an exciting piece of work can be done around this and an evolving one. So here are some examples of some of the services that support this. eduroam, European Open Science Cloud, UDAT, Identity Services, TREs is a big one, digital research environments, data repository, data management tools, the developing analysis tools, data preservation and archiving, fair and care principles implementation, for example, in Finland, and RAID persistent identifiers being rolled out in Europe through SURF. So what I wanted to do was move into some actual cases and hear from some guest presenters sharing some of the work that they're doing in this area. So first of all, I'll have, here we go. Yeah, Giacomo from SURF in the Netherlands, who'll be talking about RAID and the rollout of this new persistent identifier in Europe.
So a little bit of introduction. I am Giacomo Cannizzaro. I work at SURF in the data preservation services, which is team that takes care of everything related to the preservation of data, very understandably. Our main service is the data archive. So it's a big tape archive that we host a lot, like 100 petabytes of managed data. Then we have a persistent identifier service based on the handle system. And we do also have a data repository. But we participate in many European projects. And within one of these projects, the Faircore for EOS project, which is a project that seeks to develop some core components for the data management in the European landscape to be offered through in the EOSC landscape. We are bringing this service into SURF and to be offered in Europe, which is called RAID, which is a persistent identifier for research project. And I will now share my slides if I find the right button. So indeed, I will talk today about this RAID, which is the Research Activity Identifier, which is a bit maybe bombastically tries to be the single source of truth for research project activities. So RAID, the aim of RAID is that to provide persistent, unique, and resolvable information for research project. And indeed, this idea is that it tries to fit a gap in what we see in the research landscape, which is to have a system that allows to maintain and this consistent information in an homogeneous way to capture all information related to a research project throughout the data lifecycle of this project. This not only to keep a record of information for the single researcher, but also to expose it to the public through the use of a PID, because RAID will be a PID, a persistent identifier, which is offered through the DOI technology of DataCite. How do we do it? Basically, rate is going to be an envelope. Here on the top, you can see the different metadata fields that can actually we will be able to add, but these are the core metadata. And basically, in the rate record, you can capture anything related to the research project, such as collaborators through maybe their work ID, or institutions that are participating, either as funders or actually hosting the research, but also any type of funding, big funding, but also maybe small prizes, documents. These can be presentations, papers, both as input or as output, but even as internal processing documents. You can even capture analysis techniques, computational environments, data sets, instruments, and even other rates. The idea is that you can actually have, if you have a big project and there are maybe sub-projects that are valuable by themselves, you can actually capture these in the rate system through relational relationships between different rate PIDs. The philosophy is to always use PIDs first. So you want to maintain the fairness of everything as much as possible. So ideally, when you enter something in a RAID, a researcher you should not just say put the name and surname, but also the work ID. An institution should be captured as a ROR, a paper with a DOI or a handle or an ARC, etc. The RAID also offers versioning. Every time the system is updated, there is a sequential number that increases, and so you can know at what version of the record is. But also in a more explicit way, you can change, for example, the title and say that, you know, if a project is goes on for 10 years, but then at a certain point there is a change, you can capture this in the metadata actually by putting a start date and an end date to many of these metadata fields. We consider the RAID a journey, let's say, but we think that the RAID is a living record of the research project. So it should start with the research project at the inception. Of course, you need to find a balance between, you know, the little note on a piece of paper at the bar, or just at the inception of a gigantic grant. But when there is a concrete idea, you can start by adding this basic descriptive project and metadata and information. Then you can start adding collaborators, and they can bring in their own expertise and their own items, objects, data sets, or papers. And they can start adding to this rate record. And by doing this, you extend the rate record by adding more and more metadata. Then maybe you want to integrate this platform with your information system, with your funding system, so that this information can start becoming more available to the public. Another thing you can do then is to report on this information, because by having everything in one place, it is easier for people to just understand what was the activity done in, let's say, in the past year, and to just disseminate the progress. And finally, RAID allows also for better understanding of the impact of research, because I think more often than not, we consider the impact of research only based on the output, on, you know, the numbers of paper, you know, the famous publish or perish. I was a PhD student, so I am well aware of this of these limitations on how we study research. But RAID will allow also to understand a bit the breadth of connection made through this research, in terms of connecting people, but also connection of data sets with different entities. We have a couple of user stories to understand a bit better how the RAID system works. I think the more you interface with this project and the more I disseminate this system to people, I hear more use cases, and people really, it seems to really fit a bit of a gap in the landscape. But this is one that is dear to my heart because it's a bit of an experience I had during my PhD. So imagine you're a primary investigator and you want to disseminate as quickly as possible the information on our project to onboard new people. So for example, a PhD student needs to come and get up to speed with all the foundational literature, the analysis techniques that are in place, maybe the systems. And we know that sometimes the advisors are not the most available people. With RAID, you just need a single string because it's a PID. And with this single string, you can access all this information that is, hopefully, if the system is used well, the information is going to be there, it's going to be homogeneously recorded, and everything should be there. But this is valuable also for a senior researcher. Maybe you have a new collaborator, a very experienced person, and they need to bring in their expertise and how to disseminate it to the broader collaboration. You can just add things to the RAID, and if the RAID is used as this single source of truth within the collaboration, this information can quickly be made available to everyone else. And it's also, for example, for a technical person, you have a data expert, they need to understand maybe the critical points. If in a RAID we have registered all the analysis techniques and maybe the computational environment that we use, this expert can come and already have an overview of what's happening. So indeed, RAID, as this single source of truth for research project, will allow people and to share information and to get up to speed and have a consistent, homogeneous, up-to-date record of the information for the research project. Also reporting, again, this is something that is can be a pain for people, especially in large collaboration, to find and gather all the activity that had been done in the previous year or in the previous period. This can be lost within
Nope. We seem to have lost connection. Just going to pause that. Nope. I've lost that. Anyway, I'll include those slides and that presentation with this presentation, and with thanks to Giant actually and Giacomo from SURF. Can you still hear me? You can, great. So this was actually part of a webinar that Giant presented back in November about NRENs and their work in open science. So Giacomo kindly allowed them to edit the presentation for us. So I'll include the full presentation link in that. I'd now like to invite Jelena Tantenko from the Philippines. She's a supervising science research specialist at DOST, Advanced Science and Technology Institute, and she'll be giving a summary of the type of data management and open science initiatives they are currently running. Jelena, would you like to be able to share your slides and come online?
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you. Hello.
Hold on, let me just find my presentation.
Yeah. And where are you coming from? Which city?
I'm coming from Quezon City, which is in Metro Manila, the main city.
Lovely. I'll exit my slide presentation, see if you're able to share yours.
You see my slide? I just want to know, what do you see?
Just my presentation. So we don't. Did you click the share link at the bottom, the share button?
Yes.
Oh, here we go. This is looking
Can
promising.
you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so is it
put
just the presentation, or
no,
is it the
with the
notes
notes.
page?
Yeah, the notes
Okay,
page.
hold on. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
How about now?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll let you know if we hit the 10-minute mark.
Okay, sure.
Thanks, Elena.
So, sorry for that delay. My name is Jelena Tatanko. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we hear you really well.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so my name is Jelena Tatanko. I'm from the Advanced Science and Technology Institute. I lead the team that handles the computing infrastructure, which we call CORE, or Computing and Archiving Research Environment. And we work closely with the national REN, which is Preginet. So this morning, I'll be presenting a little bit about our experience or our perspective in terms of the role of NRENs in data management and open science. Before my outline, so I'll just provide an overview of the science infrastructures that we have at ASTI, and then zero in on the data catalog, which is the main platform that we have for sharing data. And then just go back on the role of science infrastructures in data management and data science from our perspective and what is our way forward. So just to give you a little bit about what ASTI is, what we do. So ASTI is a government institute. It's a research and development institute under the Ministry of Science and Technology. So mainly we focus on research and development projects that are in the fields of ICT and electronics technology. We also have the mandate to maintain the science and technology infrastructures of the ministry. So under that umbrella, we have two main infrastructures. So one is the national REN, which is called the Philippine Research, Education, and Government Information Network. We're part of APAN. We've been attending APAN, and my director and my colleague is presently there attending. So I'm sure probably in one of the presentations and sessions, you have heard of what Preginet is. So we've been operating for more than 20 years, and Preginet actually gave rise to the government network back in 2016 when the Ministry of ICT was created. So previously it was Preginet maintaining the government network, but when the Ministry of ICT was created, we transitioned the government network to them, but we still, kind of collaborate with them in maintaining the GovNet. So with that, we focus now on connecting universities and academic and research communities. And we're connected to global RENs such as APAN, GEANT. Through our connections with APAN, we also have direct connections to the US, Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan. So that is the network block or the network infrastructure. And then around 2014, we created we launched the computing infrastructure. So this is what we call a SCORE. It is the main computing and storage facility that we have here. So our main services are on HPC, Science Cloud, and data archiving. So originally it was intended to support data storage requirements for disaster-related projects of the ministry and even of ASTI that we had at that time. But over the years, universities and research institutions were approaching us and asking if they can use our facility for their computing and storage requirements because they didn't have theirs, and they needed it. So we extended it to other areas as well. Okay, so those are our main infrastructures. So we don't just create, or we just don't establish the infrastructure just for the sake of having an infrastructure, but what is the value of having these infrastructures? So of course, as a government agency, we are here to support research. Okay, so what kind of research? So these are just examples of like use cases that we currently have on the telemedicine. We actively support the telemed network of the Philippines. So this community has been one of the most active, even more during the pandemic, where they were able to demonstrate how telemedicine was able to bring together medical doctors and practitioners to share knowledge and best practices in addressing the pandemic. And then on the COVID-19, we also assisted a number of researchers on COVID-19. And this has been instrumental in expanding the country's knowledge on the virus during that time. So we provided, or we allocated resources for a number of research institutes for their computing and storage needs. So this really helped propel the nation's collective efforts to shed light on the COVID-19 during that time. So the most notable among these research is what we have here in this slide. It's called FASTER. So FASTER became the official disease modeling and surveillance platform of the Ministry of Health in releasing their daily COVID-19 statistics. So faster use our facility. So on the bottom, rice genomics, we collaborate with the International Rice Research Institute. So we host the rice genome variants dataset from the 3000 Rice Genome Project, or 3KRG. So this can be publicly accessed by the global rice community, and it enables large data exchanges among ERI and its many project collaborators. So just to mention, we have been working for a long time with ERI, helping each other out, and ERI is actually, ERI is connected to PreGenet, but it extends its connectivity to PreGenet to the whole science community in the area in Los Baños. So the University of the Philippines, Los Baños is located there. Some of the agencies under the Ministry of Science and Technology, and some other government institutions. So next, below on crop mapping, we work with the Sugar Regulatory Administration, which is under the Ministry of Agriculture. The SRA used, one of our projects developed an AI model for mapping. So it's called AI for mapping model. So they used it, and then they carried out their data processing on the core facility to come up with maps as shown in this slide. And then lastly, on disaster risk reduction, we host the we provide services to the agency on volcanology and seismology. We provide storage and cloud resources to them in their flagship programs, including like Hazard Hunter, where, if wherever you're located, if you want to find out if you're located within a fault area, then you can use this platform to determine that, and it's being used for early warning purposes as well. So all these examples, as well as some other projects, are being run on this capacity. So we're fairly modest in our capacity. You can see it from this table. This is our HPC capacity, and then our Science Cloud capacity. But hopefully, in the coming 2 years, we'll be able to add more resources to this, as we have a project where we will be setting up an HPC for AI. So we're excited about that. Looking forward to that. On the right side, you see a number of our partners and where some of our users come from. So most of them are universities, research organizations, and some government agencies that have like research in their mandate. So these are just an example of the a user's data. So we have a total of around more than 400 active researchers from 69 academic, government institutions, even international institutions, using our resources in core. And approximately 6 out of 10 core users are utilizing the HPC service. So this slide just shows like the top organizations with the highest number of, core resource use. So of course, number one is ASTI. We have a number of projects using the facility, and then most universities from LaSalle, University of the Philippines, and then International Rice Research Institute, and then some of this, like the Philippine Statistics Authority, FIVOX, are government agencies. So now we go back again to the value. So aside from supporting these kinds of research, we also host research data. So that is what my next few slides will be. We have the core data catalog. So why did we why did we set up or develop the core data catalog is, well, we're not just, we also generate data. So we wanted to, make research data publicly accessible. And we want to promote collaboration, through this platform. So what is the core data catalog? It's an online research repository that houses a collection of data sets generated from various research projects conducted using the core facility. Not just that, but other additional data sets collected and contributed by data owners who wants to, use this facility. So the catalog enables data owners to publish their data sets. So in a way, they contribute to collaborative research efforts within the science community. So just a little bit of statistics, around 44% of the users of the core data catalog come from the academe. Okay, so most of them are maybe on their research, conducting research from the University of the Philippines, the main campus. And the rest of the users are, well, they're varied, some from government and some from well, we've noticed also international organizations accessing data from our data catalog. So the data that's published in the catalog encompasses various fields such as rice genomes data. So the ERE 3KRG data is stored here. Some satellite images for Earth observation data, some storm surge and landslide hazard maps, weather research and forecasting or WRF model and forecasting data, as well as drought situation maps. So at present, we have a total of 14 data sets, still very small. And these are from 9 organizations. So on the figure on the right, you can see the data sets that we host. So as I've mentioned, the data owners can utilize the catalog to publish their data sets. And end users can register and access and download these various data sets available on the catalog. But we also, like, it depends on the data owners if they want their data sets to be publicly accessible, or if they want, like, these are just like private access to them or a certain group of members. So that part, data classification, really depends on the data owners. But of course, we encourage that all data can be publicly accessible. Okay, so this is our current capacity. So we have around 1 petabyte of storage available, and out of that, only around 50 terabytes are being used. So we really need to, we want to promote this locally so that, more universities and academic institutions will be aware that there is such a platform and that they can use it if they have such a need for it. From our registered users, over a 1-year period, we have around 68, so still fairly small. And the composition of these registers are from local government, from national government, from non-government organizations, private institutions even. And a big chunk of it, aside from government, is from the academic community. Okay, so if you're interested to check out our platform, you can use this QR code. So we have our website, so you can see what data sets are there. And then if you want to publish your data sets, the right QR code can be used. So I'll be giving this slide to Trish, so she can also share this on the platform. So lastly, we'll go back to the role of science infrastructure in data management and data science. From perspective of the Philippines, as I've mentioned in my presentation, we are able to support research mainly through our NREN and mainly through our computing and storage infrastructure. So we have a lot of local support coming in, but we also would like to have more opportunities for regional and global uh, support. So what we're looking forward to is the Copernicus mirror, the Copernicus data, which will have a Philippine mirror. This will be in cooperation with the Philippine Space Agency. Okay, so number two is we host research data. So right now, as you've seen, it's still fairly small utilization. So we do want to promote this and encourage more collaboration so that more data owners can be encouraged to use the platform. What is our way forward? So I guess in uh, aligned with this session, we would like to align more with the principles of fair data and of course increase our engagement with the Research Data Alliance. And with that, I end my presentation. Thank you very much.
Yelena, thank you so much for that overview. It's exciting to hear what's happening in the Philippines, actually. Please do stay on because we will have a discussion at the end. Yeah, and I will share your slide deck as well. I'll just move on to the next presentation that we have, actually, is with HEA Net and Jenny O'Neill. She's the Research Engagement Officer, and she has also recorded a presentation for us because she is based in Ireland.
Hi everybody. Today I'm going to give you a whistle-stop tour of the ways in which HEAnet supports open science. My name is Jenny O'Neill and I'm a Research Engagement Officer with HEAnet. HEAnet is Ireland's national research and education network, and we aim to be a trusted partner delivering innovative technology services for the advancement of education and research. We launched our new strategy in November of last year, and this current strategy takes us from 2025 to 2030. So you can see that research is one of 5 focus areas for our company in the coming years. Our strategy is also informed by national and EU policies, ensuring that we are fully aligned with colleagues in other countries and explicitly supports our states our support for fair data management and open science. So to give you some context of the situation in Ireland, our National Open Research Forum, or NORF, developed a national action plan for open research, published and delivered under Impact 2030, Ireland's research and innovation strategy. In order to transition to open research, we're essentially talking about a shift in our research culture. And I like this diagram from the Centre for Open Science, which outlines their strategy for culture change with infrastructure, making open science possible as a foundational basis for this change. So our strategy outlines a number of areas of support. So I'll show you our support for open research in each of these areas, starting with research data management support. So together with colleagues from the Irish Centre for High Performance Computing, or ICHEC, we recognised a need for a common data space for Ireland to support data-driven research and innovation by fostering collaboration between academia, industry and the public sector. So we're proposing a federated ecosystem of data stakeholders, systems and services at a national level, linking with European resources to unify the currently fragmented national data ecosystem, facilitating better data sharing and collaboration across disciplines. And we are calling this IRL Data Space, together with a Data Space Support Centre, or IRL DSSC, that will drive the development and maintenance of the data space. As a result of the National Action Plan that I mentioned earlier, the 2022 Open Research Fund call was designed to implement 6 priority actions, one of those being the establishment of a national data stewardship network. And SUNRE, the Irish Data Stewardship Network, is the outcome of that call with HANet as a project partner. And SUNRE is the Irish word for data. Now, as we move from a project to a self-sustaining network, I'm continuing on as a member of the committee, and I'll also be involved in the development of a micro-credential training programme. The next area we're going to look at is our strategy for supporting national research infrastructure. So the European Open Science Cloud, or EOSC, will offer diverse research output services and tools from across Europe, and will take the form of a network of nodes. So nominated by our Department of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science, HANet is Ireland's mandated organisation of the EOSC Association, with my colleague Roberto sitting on the EOSC steering board, while I am co-chair of the EOSC Long-Term Data Retention Task Force. We're also exploring what Ireland's role in EOSC will be, and have published a paper presenting strategic actions for Ireland to develop its research landscape through participation in EOSC. We are currently working towards a wider vision paper with input from a broad range of stakeholders across the research landscape in Ireland. So as I previously mentioned, in relation to the SUNRE Data Stewardship Network, in 2022, NORF launched the Open Research Fund in support of the National Action Plan, and HANet led Action 6, which was a shared data storage service pilot. So IRLDAT developed a national shared data storage service. This is for active data, starting with this pilot for a small number of research groups, with the aim to grow the service into a national service. And IRLDAT is currently transitioning from a pilot to a production service, which will be rolled out by HANet, of course, subject to funding. And then starting in spring of this year, HANet will be working with other NREN colleagues in Géant and SURF on a proof of concept for a digital research environment based on SURF's amazing research cloud. So this would allow researchers to access storage, compute and other services like lab notebooks within one platform. And this may end up being the basis of Ireland's EOSC node. And finally, we'll take a look at research engagement and education activities around open research and fair data. So I've already spoken about IRLDAT and SUNRE, but HANet have been involved in a number of other NORF funded projects, including being a member of the Persistent Identifier Task Force, developing a national paid roadmap and strategy. And I'm also a member of the National Access Monitor Advisory Group. And finally, we've set up the National Forum for Research Services and Infrastructure, which we call RESIN, which brings together research support staff from IT, the library and the research office. And together we've produced two hopefully very useful resources. And then we also bring the community together for a monthly info share covering different topics relevant to the community. Webinar topics that we have planned for this year include quantum computing, the care principles for Indigenous data governance, and what Ireland's membership of CERN might mean for research staff. So thank you very much for your time, and if anybody wants to follow up on any of the topics that I've introduced, feel free to follow up with me. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thank you, Jenny. And as Jenny said, yeah, she's available via email if you have any questions. So let me get back to a presentation deck. Oops. Oh, sorry. We want, I think I'm already on there. Oh, it's my pleasure to welcome Amber McEwen from New Zealand. Amber is the Chief Executive Officer of NRENs, and she's here to give an update on the exciting things happening in New Zealand. We'll connect your machine. Amber, thank you. I'll disconnect this. Do you have one of these, or?
Do you have one of those?
Oh yeah, you have that even directly. Oh no, that's perfect. Ready to go? This should work.
Great. Thanks, Trish. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak today. I'm here to update you on some change that's happening locally and what this means for New Zealand, for REANs as an NREN, but also for researchers locally. And I'm really here to reach out and go, this is our challenges we've got ahead of us. If anyone wants to collaborate and talk through how we can address these jointly, please reach out. So just as a quick update, REANs is New Zealand's NREN. We're a Crown-owned company. We get about 60% funding from members and about 40% from the Crown. We are sustainable on our current business model, and our focus is on enabling New Zealand to study, research and connect. So like any NREN, we have a responsibility across the entire sector. About 2 years ago, the government kicked off a review of e-research infrastructure across New Zealand, and they identified 4 challenges for New Zealand. There were opportunities to create critical mass by consolidating our e-research infrastructure. For those of you who don't know New Zealand, we're a country of 5 million people, so scale is a real challenge when we're talking about funding infrastructure. We need to increase our ability as a sector to attract and retain talent in the competitive market for talent, and we've all got the same challenge, I know. How do we, with constrained funding, respond to a changing technology? Obviously, we want New Zealand researchers to have access to the newest, the best, the brightest technology, but that's really hard for a very small country and economy to fund. And how do we raise capability to enable us to work more effectively at a global scale and create impact for New Zealand? So those were the opportunities that came out of a sector-wide review. And then about 6 months ago, middle of last year, the Minister made a decision, and she's asked REANs to be the central provider of e-research infrastructure for New Zealand. That means we're integrating existing HPC capability for the first time into REANs, and she's given us the goal of maximising the impact of the current government investment in infrastructure. So we really need to think how we balance the need for bespoke research support with the need or the focus on running infrastructure efficiently. They're 2 very different models, and our challenge is to bring them together. And also how we can achieve greater national reach, so how REANs can actually make these services available to a broader range of the sector. So she's given us four challenges, no extra funding to do this, it's quite a challenging time. Enabling us to further support institutions to grow the sophistication and uptake of digital research. Enable equitable access. So it's really, really important for the Minister and for the sector that researchers, regardless of their institution, have access to the same infrastructure. At the moment, access to infrastructure is governed a lot by the institution you work for. And that's just historical reasons, no other reasons, but it does need to be addressed. We need to strengthen the quality of the sector's skills pipeline, training and capability development. So again, we have a new remit to work with the training providers, such as universities, to look at how we can really offer specific skills. And I was very interested to see the presentation from HEANet and talking about what they're doing in that space. And then obviously funding is not limited, so that whole efficiencies of scale and coordination, collaboration and partnership is key. And for REANs, that partnership is partnership with the NREN community, but also looking at where opportunities might exist in the commercial sector as well. So we see a world of opportunity ahead, and that's really how we leverage the opportunities. There's 2 disparate organisations, REANs, which provides back-end NREN infrastructure, very efficient, focusing on standardising policies and procedures, with NESI, which provides very high-value researcher-centric services, and by their nature a lot more bespoke. So we have a great opportunity to leverage both, the best bits of both cultures to create a new entity. I've talked about efficiencies of scale and equity. offer a broader range of services over time. So Trish, your RDA presentation was really interesting to me because it showed how we can expand the offerings over a period of time, and then providing critical mass and the stronger value proposition to investors. We've got to we can't lose sight of the fact that the governments choose to invest in NRENs, and we have to work with them to make sure they're getting value for their money, and there's a really strong rationale for that investment. So that's something we're working very closely with officials on. So in summary, we're at the beginning of a journey. So we really need to understand e-research capability building. So what is the role of RDAs in the centre versus the institution, whether it's a research institute or a university? What are the different roles we play? We're not here to step over what someone else is doing well, and people shouldn't be replicating things locally that could be done better in the centre. Economy of scale, huge issue for New Zealand, I've talked about that. Data management, so what again is the role of the centre in data management versus the individual institutions? And some of these presentations this morning have really helped me, think about some of that. And then federation, for us, the key benefit that we see is how we work with the global community to share ideas, to share resources, and to share access to infrastructure. Again, New Zealand cannot afford to build all the infrastructure that's needed, so that's the joy of this wonderful NREN network that we're all part of, that it gives us that ability to work jointly and leverage investments that have been made elsewhere. And that is it. It was a very quick update, but just so people are aware of the changes and the challenges that we have ahead of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. That was really terrific. And it is really food for thought. And the whole presentation today is about just giving some ideas of what others are doing, therefore what the opportunities are for you as NRENs, who are at the core of research infrastructure, really. I now have the pleasure of inviting Kazu Yamaji, who is joining us online to talk about the APAN Open and Sharing Data Working Group and what we can look forward to in the future. Kazu, if you're still online, could you share your slides? Oh, brilliant.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you really well. Thank you. I'll get you to take over and share your slides.
Okay, please stop sharing on your slide, and then I can do that, maybe. So my Zoom set, okay, I will try do that. Can you see my slide?
Yes, we can see your slides. Perfect, Kaz.
So everybody in that room knows about NII. So as you know, we are operating the high-speed network Sign 6, and then Identity Federation Cloud Service Security Service. And our NII Research Data Cloud is final top player of our NREN service and providing to the Japanese the university and the research institutions. And our NII RDC composed by these three main platforms, which totally try to support whole entire research data lifecycle, starting from the RDM platform. Once the researcher got the result, the journal article and the data will be publicized from our publication platform. The whole metadata in that platform will be aggregated to our discovery service, and then try to make a good cycle in terms of the research data management and the data sharing. And in case of our RDM platform, we are operating this RDM platform named Gakuni RDM and asking to the university to prepare their own institutional storage and connect to our RDM platform. And at this moment, it is rapidly growing. So now more than 150 institutions is now employed our service and providing us their institutional RDM platform. And we are getting the good example. This example is a relatively big one, but from the big one to the small and the medium size, and especially to the small, to get more small good example, we are funding to it's a small budget, but the funding to the good practice of our NI Research Data Cloud to the Japanese folks. And we are developing this RDM platform under the collaboration with the Center for Open Science in the United States. As many of you guys have already been utilized the open science framework operated by COS, and that is the open source software. So we are adding the new functionality, especially focusing on the institutional RDM management, and then providing to the Japanese universities. And in case of the publication platform, we are operating the so-called Agile Cloud. So now this orange bar is the institution which employed our cloud service. The blue one is the on-premise. So now is the game has already been changed, and most of the institution is now employing our service. And this year, our Japanese fiscal year ending in March. In this fiscal year, we are migrating to the new the service of our institutional repository, the publication platform. And again, this platform is also developed under the collaboration with the CELN, based on the Invenio. This is the kind of the basic the library bunch of the library of the institutional repository system. And the many of you guys also knows about the Zenodo. The Zenodo is a generic data repository based on the Invenio 3. And on top of the Invenio 3 functionality, we're also adding the new function in terms of the institutional repository and providing to the Japanese, the university and research institutions. And the last, not 2 years ago, but especially the last year, the Japanese Cabinet Office stipulated the immediate open access mandate, and then act from this year 2025. So the university has to be ready for the open access by using our institution repository service. And of course, we already have the very big number of the institutional repository. In addition to that, the so-called gold open access, the main load is going to be, in our case, green open access. But the workflow of the green open access is a little bit complicated. So we are operating the support system for easily, the researcher can upload their author final manuscript to the institutional repository by with the metadata under the collaboration with the university library under this the user interface. And since we already have a RDM platform, and the researcher is expected to manage the data in addition to the author final manuscript under this Gakuni RDM. So we also has the new functionality which act the interoperability between Gakuni RDM and Agile Cloud. And by using this functionality, the institutional repository can be seen as one of the folder in our Gakuni RDM platform. And the researcher easily can drag and drop the author final manuscript and in addition to the related data into the institutional repository in a very, very easy manner. And in addition to the 3 platform, we are adding the new functionality based on this, the new funded by the Ministry of Education and Research. And in this project, the main scope is also, of course, is adding the new functionality of our NI Research Data Cloud. And in this project, it's something like automatically happened. The local community, it was started in the middle of Japan, but automatically propagated to the different the part of Japan. And then based on this local community, they are try to help each other how to do the institutional research data management and how to utilize our NRE research data cloud in the maximum and then how to get the maximum power by using the our platform. And these are the new functionality we are adding on top of the three main platform. I'm gonna let you know some of the example from them. So our research reproducibility platform is prepare the Jupyter environment, which is easily launched from our Gakunin RDM, and then connect to the different type of the computing resources provided by the different university and research institution, and act as a kind of the proxy service of the computing resources in the whole entire Japanese institution. And then the back and forth the data and the code between the Jupyter environment and our Gakunin RDM, and then the packed such a the research outcome into our RDM platform could be able to manage in a platform. And of course, the package is easily publicized from our publication platform, and the successor, the following researcher can easily reproduce the outcome done by the previous researchers by using our platform. And in our data governance functionality is manage the DMP data management plan. As you know, the DMP is something like a document we have to describe about the project, but in the most of the case, it's just like a document have to be provided to the to funding agency. But in our case, we'd like to utilize the DMP as much as possible, and then operate based on the DMP information, and to operate and manipulate our NIR research data cloud in a machine actionable manner. And from the 2025, every single university and the research institution have to prepare the data policy. This is the regulation from the Cabinet Office. And then we are trying to pick up the things they have to keep the manage from the data policy, and then try to prepare the action as a machine action with DMP. And then our data governance platform produce the governance seeds based on the DMP, and then try to control our NI research data cloud. For instance, once the researcher prepare the DMP, our data governance function produce the governance seed, and based on this governance seed, that our data governance function prepare the appropriate the project, the management, the function on the Gakunin RDM, and then try to manage the data in our environment. And then once the researcher got the result, our governance is try to support the lighting phase, and then try to publicize the data by using our publication platform. And like that way, we are as an ELN, we are trying to support the whole entire research data life cycle, and try to maximize the power of the research itself. So this is all about we are doing as an ELN. So I'll try to finish my presentation.
Kazu, thank you so much for that. That's terrific. If you could just stay on for some questions, perhaps what I'll do is I'll just finish up think about some questions while I just go through a couple of slides of why you should join the RDA. And as we've heard today, there are really a lot of opportunities for NRENs to be part of open science initiatives. And you will find as you go through that journey of working out what services make sense for your organisation, there are a lot of things that are already done that you don't have to rework. There's a whole community of people and outputs already made through the RDA that you should have a look at. There are over 100 groups with the RDA at the moment. So data management plans, policies, fair care principles, persistent identifiers, all kinds of topics that you can find groups to be a part of. So outside of your NREN community, you're also then tapping into other experts in other domains to give you some guidance, and then you customize it the way you want to. So being involved really allows you access to different types of communities and people where you can learn from. And there's that real opportunity to contribute and not just accelerate and progress your initiatives, but also help drive and shape where these services might go in open science. So building an international network obviously is a given, and also learning what's happening elsewhere. It really is about, you're not alone. You've got local data challenges perhaps, but there's a global community that can really help you. So who should join RDA? And we say RDA is open for all. It really is open for all. The mechanism and the ecosystem is there. If you have a challenge that is beyond a national challenge or a local challenge, reach out to the RDA communities and join that community. It's free. So you choose your level of involvement. You could be an observer, just join the groups, join as an individual member. It's completely free. You can join as many groups as you want and receive the communications, meeting requests, outputs, download the outputs, read the adoption stories and cases, and find what you need to progress your work. You can also become more involved. You can be very actively involved and become a co-chair of the groups. You can drive initiatives. You can, through the Birds of a Feather plenaries, opportunities. This is where you can pitch an idea for a challenge that as an individual or as a group, you are saying to the community, does anyone else have this problem? And would any of you like to solve this together? It gives you an idea of what is actually common challenges, or it might be a challenge that no one else has, and that's also quite a useful thing, feedback to receive. You can co-chair, as I mentioned, RDA group, and you can also involve your organisation as an RDA organisational member. We also have funders who are members of the Funders Forum. They don't contribute financially, but they're there to help see what is going on in the RDA community, but also be a point of contact for the community to reach out to find out what the funding opportunities are. And you can also nominate to be part of the RDA governance body, such as our technical advisory board, who help support each of the groups. So become a member through our website, just create an account and it's free as an individual. Select all the groups that you want to be a part of, and you know, if there's like an NREN specific group that you want to form that's not already available within APAN, you can do that through the RDA. And it can be regional, it can be global, it can be as specific as you like, as niche. So we always say, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. It's an African proverb that really, it's what RDA is all about. It's about a community helping each other to progress. So we're now into questions and discussion time, and we've got 21 minutes, or no, actually 11 minutes. If anyone has questions, you can put that on the chat if you're online, or just raise your hand. Yes. Do we have an office in Middle East is the question for RDA. So the RDA is a very small team actually of 5 staff, mostly based in Europe, and I'm based in Australia. But RDA is a global organisation, and we have RDA members in the Middle East, for sure. In almost every country, I think we've got, I don't know the numbers, but for example, not in the Middle East, but Cambodia, we have one. And I know we can improve on that. So definitely we want an increased representation in the Middle East. And we see this as an opportunity to partner with NRENs, because you are increasingly taking on these services that the RDA communities have already worked a lot in. And there's opportunity there for help and collaboration and to feel part of a bigger community. But so we can collaborate with ASRAN, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We would love, oh, thank you. We would love ASRAN members to be part of the RDA community.
You know that ASRAN is the regional research education tool for Arab world.
Yes, exactly. So like GIANT or any of the NREN kind of global regional kind of associations, it would be a great contact, because then you can disseminate the information to your communities. So we would love to work with you to find out what your community specifically need, and then we can help tee up experts or, you know,
We
organize.
can talk after this meeting about
that would be
the
terrific.
details.
Thank you. Yeah, do we have any other questions on the floor? I'll just see if we have any questions.
So I'm gonna give you some, please turn off your microphone. It's echoing. I'm gonna highly recommend it to go to RDA. Because that everybody in that room is willing to go to the, for instance, in terms of the NLEN, going to the GIAN, TNC, or United States I2 meeting. But in addition to that, there are so many things you can learn from the RDA, and you can find the things that as an NLEN, what you have to do and needed to do in the future as a NLEN perspective. And of course, in addition to the RDA, I also recommend it to go to the, if you have a, the good enough budget, to go to the e-research Australia last year. This is also so fantastic meeting. You have to go. And then from that, different perspective, then maybe you can find out the things you have to do. And that Trish, this, the introduction of the RDA is so important for us Asian community, because of, the many of the people doesn't know about RDA and the things they have to do as an NLEN in terms of the data sharing and RDM. So, but, this time, that was, because of the some technical issue, the separated between the open and the sharing working group session and this RDA session. So maybe from the next time, it's better to have, the conjunction between us. And then in our working group, we also has the country update, what we can do as an NLEN about, RDM and data sharing. So the things we want to share is something overlapped between the two. And then maybe that we have to collaborate each other. And we need to know, because, everybody are unable to go to the RDA because of that, the budget limits. So, that Trish, if you can update the new, the discussion around RDA, it is so informative to the Asian community.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kaz. I wanted to share actually a slide on the next steps. Do you mind if I could share my screen? Maybe turn yours off. Oh, thanks, Kaz. I'll just see if that's available. Thank you. Definitely, we want to work more closely with the working group here at APAN and Kaz's team. So in future APAN meetings, we'll do a joint, session. But these are the next steps for RDA in terms of how you can become involved. We've got a virtual plenary coming up, P24, so it's our 24th one in April, and that's fully virtually online. It's a fully virtual meeting online, and registrations are open now. So this is a great way for you to see what is available in the RDA, what sessions are available. It'll be like 50 to 60, and it'll be an incredible global event. So lots of time slots in our region, as well as Europe and US friendly. And the reason we want APAC, membership is really to help drive those meetings in our time zone that is available for people to participate. So the more members we have, the more opportunity we have of setting up these meetings in a time zone that's good for us. And of course, we've got International Data Week, which is coming for the first time in this region, APAC. It only runs every 2 years, International Data Week, and it's coming to Brisbane in October. So this will be another amazing opportunity. This is a hybrid meeting for RDA, but it combines the Research Data Alliance plenary as well as Side DataCon. So CoData and World Data Systems will also be there along with the RDA. And it's a terrific opportunity for you to see how the three groups work. There will be some joint sessions as well as individual sessions for the two conferences. And it's in Brisbane. I do have some merch over here, some koalas to distribute. Please take them. I'm not taking them back home. And this is for our koala competition to win free registration. There's a koala comp on the IDW website there. And you just take a selfie with the koala in your part of the world and send it in. And there's a people's choice as well as a committee vote. And we really encourage you to participate in that and at least share where you're from. IDW2025.org also has a lot of information about the co-located events that are on. eResearch Australasia will be on the week after, and we have quite a number of events before and after IDW in Brisbane. And ARDC, who I work for, Australian Research Data Commons, are hosting this, so it's really exciting for us, and we hope to have as many APAC participants as possible. This is a global opportunity conference, but obviously we'd like our partners and our neighbours participating. So please help yourself to some merch. If you have any questions from me or our presenters, drop us an email. We will send the slides and share the contact details. And I also want to thank those who presented live today and those who did the online recordings to participate in our APAN59 first session for RDA. Thank you so much, everyone. I think it's morning tea time. Thank you.